Hello YouTube. Today I'll be showing you a Hydrix Dragon Slayer guide, and so these are classified as Gemstone Dragons. They used to be rarely assigned, but as of a July update, they assign them way more often, and their assignment weight is 10. They require level 101 Slayer to kill, and it also requires the Karamja hard task complete. It also costs a Hydrix gem to kill 4,000 of these, but that is only if you're off task. If you're doing this on task, it's completely free. So anyways, to get there, just use your Karamja gloves 3 or 4, then climb down the trapdoor and just keep running to the end. Alright, so here are the mechanics. They have a very high HP, and they attack with both melee and mage. Their max hit is 2k damage, but they have a special attack that occurs once in a while. What ends up happening is, they'll send green spikes at you, and it will do at least 4k damage with mage. Now the worst part about this is, it drains all your adrenaline, and for a few seconds, they'll give you a debuff where your adrenaline gain is halved. So this can be avoided if you move 2 squares away as soon as they spit out the spikes. Protect from mage does not reduce the debuff, so it can really be annoying if they do hit you. However, if you're in melee distance, they won't commit this special attack. Alright, so here's my equipment setup. I'm using range, because they're weak to arrows. I have a noxious bow, and the perks I would suggest are Precise 5 and Aftershock 3. I don't have these spare gizmos for this, so I didn't actually use them here. Then I have Armadillo Plate Body, and Armadillo should work just fine. The perks I have are Biting 2 and Dragon Slayer. Then I also have Impatient perk. The perks I suggest on the Armadillo Plate Legs are Genocidal and Crackling 3. I don't have spare gizmos for these, but these are what I would suggest normally. Then I have Armadillo Boots and Gloves, but otherwise if you want Agility XP, just use Silverhawks. Then I have Surgeon's Ring, and that is for extra DPS, but if you want Hazelmere Signet Chance, then just use Luck of the Dwarves. The amulet I'm using is Amulet of Zealots. Since you're 100% accurate, this will do 18% more damage using Leech Range Strength, compared to only 10% with Anguish, or 12% with a new tier 99 Prayer. But otherwise, if you don't like this option, then just use Amulet of Souls or Blood Amulet. The pocket slot item I'm using is the Berserk Blood Essence. Every time you get hit, you have a chance of activating this effect, and it basically boosts extra combat levels, also stacking with potions, except overloads however. It'll last 4 seconds each activation, but if you manually activate this, it'll last 20 seconds instead. However, there's a 60-second cooldown of each manual activation, but otherwise if you don't have this, it's fine. Just use Godbook with overloads. Then I'm using a Dark Magic Aura, but otherwise you can use a Reckless Aura if you have that. If you don't have either of these, then just use Vampirism or Penance Aura, and they work just fine. Now finally I have the Elf City Quiver, and the arrows I'm using are Noxious arrows. For anyone who's curious, the Dragonbane arrows are not needed, because you're 100% accurate. They're only capped at tier 80 damage, but of course the Noxious arrows are capped at tier 90 damage. Alright, so here's my inventory setup. You don't want to use aggression potions, because you're going to be fighting these one-on-one. You want to bring an hour worth of supplies, since these tasks are going to be very long. The potions I have are Supreme Ranging Potions, and they're basically the upgraded version of the Extreme Ranging Potion. Otherwise, you can just use regular Extreme Ranges. You only need to re-drink this once every 6 minutes, and the boosts usually don't drop by 5 or more from the original. I didn't have enough of these potions near the end, so I ended up bringing Holy Overloads. Then I have Super Anti-Fires, and then I have Weapon Poison Plus. Then I have the Replenishment Restore Potions, and you'll need to bring a lot of these because the prayer drain rate is pretty fast. I mean, these tasks are quite long anyways, so I brought like at least 15 of these. The Spring Cleaner and Alk Runes are optional, but these things don't really have a good profit anyways. Then I have the Planted Feet Sun Spear and the Ring of Vigor, and those are optional switches. The Planted Feet will increase the duration of Death's Witness by 7 seconds. Switching the weapon with Planted Feet does not remove the effect, but for those who have Aftershock, make sure you have Aftershock perk on it, otherwise it resets the stacks. Then I have Enhanced Excalibur, and that is for extra healing. The familiar I'm using is a combat familiar, and that is Steel Titan with scrolls. It offers really great DPS, since they have very high HP. You may want to bring summoning potions for even better DPS, but I mean otherwise you can just use a legendary pet for auto loot. Then finally in my Slayer tool belt, I have a Charming Imp and a Bone Crusher. You can set it to destroy the hardened dragon bones, or otherwise notepaper them. I didn't really find it easy to loot here, so I just ended up destroying them anyways. Alright, so here are my prayers. I'm using Leech Range Strength, cause this does more DPS with Zealots, compared to Anguish or the tier 99 prayer. Then I have Soul Split. And then finally I have the Berserk Prayer. So that basically makes your combat level boosts last 15% longer. It doesn't work with overloads however. Just copy my action bar for basics. For great DPS, you can trigger snipe manually. Then I have Tuska's Wrath on the side. For thresholds, I'm using Rapid Fire, Snapshot, and Tight Bindings, as well as Shadow Tendrils. And the only ultimate I'm using is Death's Witness. Alright, so here's the strategy. I'm gonna fight these one-on-one. And some people use a cannon or aggression potion, but it requires much more attention, and it's much more difficult because the spikes will come more often. However, you can increase your kills per hour if it's done properly, but even then I wouldn't really suggest it. So just keep using thresholds to kill them, but prioritize Death's Witness. And whenever you use Death's Witness, you want to use Replenishment Potion and manually activate Berserk Essence, because that can deal lots of DPS. And finally, just watch out for the spikes. Always keep an eye on their attacks, because if you see the spikes, just move out of the way. I mean, it really sucks if you're using Rapid Fire, and then they throw spikes all of a sudden. If you want to avoid dealing with the spikes, then just move to melee distance. Alright, so here are the drops. The drops overall are terrible, and nothing is worth that much anyways. The area looting isn't even that easy, as they're quite spread out. I don't think you even have time to collect and note the dragon bones they drop. The only good drop they have is the very rare gemstone plate body, which I actually ended up getting, but even then, it's very cheap anyways because you can't augment it. Now sometimes you can get an onyx or the draconic visage, so honestly I have no idea what the GP per hour is. The charm rates are pretty terrible overall. Alright, so in 53 minutes, I killed 130 Hydrix Dragons. It took me about a minute to restock the potions, so I didn't actually count the banking time. The Slayer XP they give is 4,734, as the XP was buffed a while back. So in an hour to extrapolate this, you get 145 Hydrix Dragons. The XP per hour for Slayer is 685k, and the range XP per hour is 650k. Of course, I certainly can do a better job of killing them, but I didn't actually have every best in slot perk. And my ability rotation wasn't that perfect either. So I mean, it's possible to get at least 160 kills per hour. So in my opinion, it's great Slayer XP. The combat XP is okay. The profit's very terrible, and it's a very long task. Now some people prefer long tasks, while others prefer shorter ones, but it's really up to you anyways. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask.